Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to Hayley's Space. My name's Hayley, I'm a nurse and knitter from Melbourne, Australia, and this is my 2024 knitting recap. It feels so crazy to be saying that. I've only done one of these before, so this is my second year of having this channel and making these recap videos. I'm so excited to share with you everything that I knit up in this past year. I love watching these videos. I find them a great way to find new podcasters, new vloggers, and also find new patterns as well. So I will link all the patterns and yarns that I used down in the description box below. So hopefully you guys can get some inspiration and try out some new things in 2025. Now today is the 16th of December, so I'm filming this in the middle of Vlogmas because as you're watching this, I think we're still in Chicago on holiday, or we're back in Melbourne and I'm moving house. So I'm pre-filming this video so that I can have some time off of filming in the new year. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so excited to have you. Please subscribe. It takes 2 seconds and then you can keep an eye out for any videos I bring out this year. I've got lots planned. I'm excited to bring you podcasts every month and share all my knitting. So remember to subscribe if you can and give this video a like as well, so hopefully you can find some other like-minded knitters and crafters like yourself. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite thing that you knit on this year was. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, I've been going back and forth about how to do this, whether I should do it chronologically or in categories. And I think I'm going to do it in categories this year. My podcasts come out every month, so you will have seen, if you've been keeping up with the podcasts, all of these projects chronologically anyway. So I figured let's categorize it, and that way I can show you the same type of object all together and we can kind of compare and contrast, and I can show you how much my skills hopefully have improved across the year. Okay, I think I'm going to start with socks because I kind of got on a sock train this year. And whilst I don't have many finished socks to show you, I'm definitely feeling very inspired by socks and I'm excited to knit up some more in the new year. I think I will start with my first ever pair of fingering weight socks. So these socks I knit up for Sock Week in 2024, which is a knit along that's hosted by Knitty Natty each year, and it encourages you to knit up a pair of socks in a week, and it's I think in June or July or something like that. And it happened right after the Bendigo sheep and wool show this year, which I did go to, and I bought some sock yarn there. I bought one skein of sock yarn from Fluff and Nonsense, and I got their oyster colorway on the BFL sock base. And so for Sock Week, I managed to finish an entire pair of socks, which I was not prepared for, but I used that Fluff and Nonsense yarn and made these socks. Now, these need a wash. The second one is in my washing basket. I could only manage to fish out this one, so this is all I've got to show you. I'll show you this side, hopefully a little less creased. But this is their oyster colorway, and it is a completely self-drafted pattern. I cast on I think 64 stitches. I figured out that I'm now a 62 stitch sock person, so these are a tiny little bit big for me, but I cast on 64 stitches, knit some twisted rib on the cuff there, and then knit the leg. I don't know how long I knit this for, and then I did a slip stitch heel flap and gusset there, and then I did my favorite toe, which is a wedge toe. That has not changed this year. The wedge toe is still my favorite, with the Kitchener stitch at the end there. So yeah, I was really happy with these socks. I was really proud of them. As I said, this was my first ever pair of fingering weight socks, and I felt like I was a real knitter for the first time. And I was really happy to very quickly use up my yarn from the sheep and wool show. I had no idea how to alternate skeins at this point. I had no idea about hand-dyed yarn. I was very, very clueless at this point. So that's why we get some striping, but I actually quite like the striping in these socks. And when my feet are together, I'll put a picture here, the stripes kind of line up, which I think is pretty cool. I finished these up in Perth when I was there visiting my family, and I featured them in a vlog, which I will link down below, and you can see me knitting on these socks during that week. But yeah, that's the first pair of socks I have to show you. Okay, the next pair of socks are a pair of Sunday socks. I knit these up for myself after knitting a bunch of Sunday socks as gifts for Christmas in 2023. I was on a sock knitting train at the start of the year, as I said, after gift knitting those socks. So I knit some up for myself, and I used the Sunday sock pattern by Petite Knit, which I've knit up I think 5 times now and really like. They're a 2x2 rib sock. And I used Keepsake Fibre Co 100% wool for these socks in like a creamy white colorway, and I was really happy with them. I loved them. I wore them all through winter. They were super cozy. And then in spring, for some reason, I put them in the washing machine and they felted terribly. So now they are so stiff. They're rock hard. They're too small. And yeah, I was really sad about it because I loved these socks. These were like the perfect bed socks. They were super cozy. I loved wearing them to bed and keeping my feet warm all throughout the winter. This is the first time I've ever felted something, and it won't be happening again. This Keepsake Fibre Co is a lovely yarn that I really enjoyed knitting with. I knit up something else with it. I can't remember what, but I'll show you in a minute. And it does pill quite easily, and therefore obviously felts like crazy. So yeah, those are my Sunday socks. We lost a soldier, but it's okay. I really want to knit up another pair of Sunday socks for myself in 2025, if not a couple of pairs, because I really find them really useful during the winter. Now, the Colourwork Cuff Club by Summerly Knits started in August this year, and I very much jumped on board with this Colourwork Cuff Club. If you haven't heard of it before, I've explained it a few times, but it's a pattern by Summerly Knits where you make a one-off payment to buy the sock pattern, and then each month you get a update to the pattern which features the Colourwork chart for that month. As of now, so December, as I'm filming this, there's been 2 Colourwork charts each month, and I have loved almost all of them, but the first pair that I actually finished were the October socks, and here they are. I chose to do the ghost motif. I can't remember what the other motif was. I think it was apples, for a more like autumn fall aesthetic kind of vibe, but I went for the ghosts and I absolutely adore them. Again, these are fingering weight socks, and this yarn is Great Southern Yarns 100% merino fingering in the color the brown part. So this is 100% wool. I received it as a prize for a competition I won at the Sheep and Wool Show in Bendigo. But I loved the colorway, and it really gave Halloween autumn vibes, and I really wanted to knit up these socks in it. And so I just decided to do it. I knew it was going to pill, I knew it was going to felt, but these are the perfect bed socks. They keep my feet so incredibly warm. You can see here though, it's definitely started to felt. I don't know if you can see the felting very clearly, but this is just from wearing in my Ugg boots and obviously around the house. But I do not mind that. I knew that was going to happen, and it's kind of good that the bottom of the sock has felted together, so hopefully we don't get too many holes. They do make this yarn in a sock base that includes nylon, so I will link that down below as well. As for the white yarn, I held the yarn double because when I first knit this up, I wasn't alternating skeins, and I knit with one strand of the white nylon yarn, just random yarn from Stash, and it was really transparent. You could see through it. I wasn't a fan of it. So I frogged that, started alternating skeins to get this beautiful striping going on, and held the white yarn double, and that made it a lot more opaque and thicker as well, which I really like. So yeah, I did a 2x1 cuff ribbing, which is what's featured in the pattern, and again just a slip stitch heel flap and gusset with the wedge toe as well. Tried and true, it's my favorite method. I used a 2.5mm needle for all of my Colourwork socks this year, and I think that's my favorite needle size for fingering weight yarn and for socks. I think maybe I could go down to a 2.25 in the new year, but I would need to go buy a pair. But I have so many pairs of 2.5mm circular needles now for socks, so really happy with these. They've been wearing as intended as well. keeping my feet nice and warm. Now I did cast on the August socks, but I only finished one sock. So they are not a finished object for this year. But I have knit up and finished this morning the November Colourwork Cuff Club socks, and they are still on the sock blockers. Here they are. So I knit up the first one in November and then didn't really get around to finishing up the second one until this past week. I featured that in Vlogmas week 2 and 3, and it did not take me long at all to finish the second one. So I wove in all the ends and blocked these this morning, and of course, because it's 40 degrees outside, they have dried and they are gorgeous. I love, love, love this Fair design. Absolutely stunning. So I knit these up using Drops Fabel, again with a 2.5mm needle in this beautiful burgundy colorway, and they're like just cream white colorway. I think this is color 101 or 100, something like that. Again, everything will be in the description. But I adore these socks. I did a 1x1 rib cuff. That's my favorite ribbing to do on socks. I just find it cinches a lot nicer. And again, I did a slip stitch heel flap and gusset, and again a wedge toe, because when am I not doing that for my socks? I knit these a little longer than normal as well. I've mentioned before that I have quite large calves, and so I don't tend to like when socks go up too high because they also don't fit. Someone mentioned in my comments in my last podcast, I think, that I should try calf shaping for my socks, and I think I'll try that in the new year, maybe with some Colourwork Cuff Club socks, just to see if I like it. But I wanted these to be my Christmas Eve socks that I wear with my slippers and my Christmas pajamas to watch Polar Express. So I'm glad that I finished these before we go away. I think Summerly Knits has designed some wonderful colourwork charts and also has made a fantastic base sock pattern. If you're looking for an easy vanilla sock pattern, definitely go check out Summerly Knits Colourwork Cuff Club. You get a fantastic base sock pattern in addition to all of these colourwork charts for one single price. So definitely go check it out if you haven't already, and I will definitely be knitting up these socks forever and ever. At least until August this year when the club ends, which I'll be really sad about, I think. But yeah, that is my last finished pair of socks for this year, and I'm really, really proud of them. I think I might talk about accessories now, because I knit up a lot of accessories this year. When I'm getting cast on fever, I tend to cast on accessories pretty quickly, beanies, gloves, things like that, and I find them really enjoyable to knit up because they're quick knits. So let's talk about that. I think first up, I'll talk about my pairs of penny gloves. Again, at the end of 2023, I knit up a bunch of pairs of penny gloves as Christmas gift knits, specifically for my boyfriend's family, and decided to also knit some up for myself. So this is a pattern by Petite Knit. It is a fingerless glove pattern, and it is quite popular, and I knit up 2 pairs at the start of this year for myself. This is the first pair. It's a chocolate brown pair. This is just in some stash acrylic that I've had for ages and ages. And I use a 4mm needle for these, and it really achieved quite a dense gauge. I don't know how thick this yarn is. It might be a DK, I don't really know. But yes, knit it up with a 4mm needle. And here we are. I love these. I got a little bit of wear out of these throughout the winter, specifically for when I went on like morning walks and things like that. But I'm keen to take these away with us to the States on holiday, which will have already happened by the time you're seeing this video. But yes, I'm excited to get some use out of these. No real comments about this pattern. I really enjoy this pattern. Really quick knit, perfect for gift knitting as well if you're looking for something easy and versatile as well. Great for knitting for people who you don't know either A, what they would want in terms of knitwear, or B, you don't know their size. This is a one size pattern. And yeah, I love it. It's beautiful. Next, I'll talk about some scarves. Now, this one I'm really, really proud of. I wasn't planning on knitting this pattern up this year, if at all, but I had a lot of leftover plotulopi yarn after knitting my porcelain sweater, which is a yarn by Istex. It's 100% Icelandic wool unspun, and I decided I wanted to make a scarf for the sheep and wool show. And so I cast on the Sophie shawl. Here it is. I'll include some pictures just now, but I'll also try it on for you. This is also a pattern by Petite Knit, and it is an extension of the Sophie scarf, which was a small little neckerchief pattern that came out. I don't actually know what year it came out, but the Sophie shawl is the larger version of that pattern. Here it is. It is gorgeous. So it's this garter stitch shawl slash scarf with I-cord edging that you work whilst you work the scarf. And I think it is just gorgeous. It keeps my neck so incredibly warm. I wrapped this around twice, and it is so toasty warm. Again, I will be taking this away with me on my holiday. And I think it's wonderful. I had such a good time knitting this up. I knit it up really, really quickly. Garter stitch, so easy to knit. The I-cord edges as well are really, really easy to knit as you go along. So I really, really enjoyed this process. And basically I wanted to use every last gram of this colorway. This is heathered oatmeal. So I weighed my yarn and I did the increases until I got halfway through my yarn, and then I worked the decreases. And yeah, that's it. That's my Sophie shawl. I have nothing else to say about this except that I absolutely adore it. The drape that this yarn has is beautiful because it's unspun. It blooms so beautifully with washing and blocking. And I do want to knit more sweaters in the Plotulopi by Istex. It's one of my favorite yarns. It is rustic. Again, it's unspun. So if you are sensitive, this is a little bit itchy. Well, I would say quite itchy if you are sensitive, but I don't mind it at all, especially in this scarf. I don't know what it is. Once it's on my skin, the itch factor goes away. But yeah, that's my Sophie shawl. Then as a stash busting project, I cast on something that I have not worn since I finished it. This I cast on, I think immediately after finishing my Sophie shawl. I was inspired by the I-cord edges, but I wanted to do it in stockinette this time. So I cast on a scrappy scarf using all my green and cream stash yarns. So these are a super weird mix of acrylics, wool blends. I held two acrylics together here to get this mild effect. 100% wool here, acrylic there, this is wool, and more acrylic. So very random mix of yarns. But I just wanted to A, stash bust, and B, see what I could do with the I-cord edges in stockinette. And this is what we got. Again, I haven't worn it since I cast it off. It doesn't really fit in with my wardrobe at all. I'm not like a colourful or patterned sort of person when it comes to my wardrobe. So I haven't found a way to wear this that suits me just yet. But that's okay. We've got plenty of winters left in life to try and style this scarf. I think I knit it up using a 5mm needle, super, super basic, trying to stash bust sort of situation. Because it's stockinette, obviously it does roll, even with the I-cord edging and even with steam blocking. So this is the I-cord edge here. There we go. Yeah, not much else to say about this. Hopefully I'll find some way to wear it in the future, but I did enjoy knitting it up. I do like a bit of basic stockinette every now and then. Keep life simple, keep things easy. So yeah, that was great for at the time. So I could just knit away on it and not have to think about anything like decreases or patterns or anything like that. The next finished object is one I finished this December, and it is my first ever December bow, which again, patterned by Petite Knit. Here it is. The little dangly bits are a little bit funny. I don't know what's happening. I think I just have seamed it up weird. But this is a bow pattern by Petite Knit, intended to be used as a Christmas ornament, but I have turned mine into a hair clip with the intention of wearing it on Christmas Day. So I knit this up using Bendigo Woolen Mill's Classic 8-ply. This is the color Ember mix, which is this red yarn that has also a mix of like purples and browns and things in there, and some blue. gorgeous. And it has this little double knit band that goes in the middle here to keep the bow together. I will put this in my hair. I don't know how it's going to look, but I will put it in there anyway so you can kind of get the vision. Here we go. I got the clip from Spotlight. Super cheap, cost me like $5 I think for a pack of 3. And I just sewed it on using regular cotton thread and a sewing needle. Here it is. Again, intending to wear this on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, so if I have some cute pictures of it, Editing Hayley will include them here. But yeah, really easy pattern to knit up, along the same lines as the Sophie scarf, which is the smaller version of the shawl I just showed you. But instead of turning it into a scarf, you turn it into a bow. So again, garter stitch, I-cord edging with the decreases and increases to make the tails. So yeah, that's that. Next is a headband. I knit this up using Drops Baby Merino, some leftover that I had. I knew I wanted to make a twisted headband, but had never done it before. And there's quite a few patterns out there, but for some reason I just didn't follow them. I just cast on I think 80 something stitches, I'm not sure. And I knit in the round to make like a tube for however many rows. And I seamed up the tube twisted. I will link a tutorial or a pattern down below that can explain this so much better. You kind of sandwich them together all funny and then seam them up. But as I said, I didn't follow a pattern because why would I? And this is what I made. It is a little bit small. I'm gonna try it on for you, but it is smaller than intended. So I don't know if you can see how tight this is. And you can see here, I kind of messed up the stitching up together situation a little bit. So it's very compressive and it's a little bit messy, but it's okay. I've never worn it. So maybe I'll frog it in the new year and make something more practical with it. I'm not sure, but it looks cute as is. I don't know, maybe I could keep it for a future child of mine or gift it to a young kid in our life once they come along. Who knows? But for now, that's that. I don't know what needle size I used. Maybe a 3, looks like. 3mm needle, this gauge. Who knows? Random. As I said, I cast on random accessories when I feel like I need a quick knit, and here they are. Again, along the lines of random accessories, I decided for some reason to try and self-draft a beanie this year. It was not on purpose to make a pattern or anything. It was just like, I have some yarn, I want to cast it on. I can't be bothered finding a pattern and working out if I have enough yarn for it. Let's just cast on a random number of stitches and hope that we can make a beanie out of it. This is what we made. It's a bit tragic. So this is using some leftover yarn that I had in my stash. So this is Keepsake Fibre Co, this white at the top that I used for the socks that felted. And I was intending to hold it with the Drops Kid Silk mohair all the way up. But you can see here, I ran out of the Kid Silk mohair. I was loving how it was looking until that point. I just did a 1x1 rib brim. I think I cast on like 80 stitches or something, maybe 90, with a 5mm needle, I think it was. And yeah, knit up the 1x1 rib, then started knitting up the main part of the beanie, then ran out of yarn. So I probably should have started the crown decreases there, but I didn't. I kept knitting with just the white, and I did a 3 section decrease on the crown, which just looks shocking. I will try this beanie on. It is huge. It's too big for me, and the brim is way too long and the crown is too tall. So it does not look too right. I like how thick the brim is, to be fair. I think I said in one of my vlogs or podcasts, it looks like it should have like lots of fluff here, you know, like those kind of hats. So I don't mind it for that. But yeah, the decreases are a bit messy and wrong stitch count. It's a bit of a mess. I do love a good knit beanie though, so I have got a little bit of use out of this one. Again, no pattern, just self-drafted. Then I didn't learn my lesson. I had some yarn in a handbag at some point with some needles, I don't know why, and so I decided to cast on another beanie, but not use a pattern. This is using 4 Seasons woolen twine, 100% wool, in this like greeny color. Again, a 1x1 rib brim. I did a 4-point decrease on the brim here, but I had to increase the decrease rate because the hat was getting too tall for my liking. I will try it on for you. I knit this up in a vlog. I think it was a vlog. I went to Canberra or something. Anyway, so you can see there's a lot of pooling here of the fabric because I had to increase a lot faster. And so that kind of ruined the look of the crown. But other than that, I don't mind it. If it didn't have that weird pooling, I could probably put a pom-pom on it to kind of get rid of the obviousness of that. I don't think that's a word, but yeah, this is it. Again, I love a knit beanie, so I do get wear out of that. It's just a little bit messy. Again, self-drafted, no pattern. Okay, last beanie. We have another error of me making beanies too big. I bought some sirdar snuggly bouclette yarn and cast on the beanie number 5 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I was really excited to have this beanie. I got gauge in a gauge swatch and cast it on, and I thought it was going to be too small. I was really worried it was going to be too small, so I went up from, I think, the 2nd size to the 3rd size, which is the largest size, and still thought it was too small. So what did I do? I cast on an extra 10 stitches and then made a beanie that is way too big for me. It's so embarrassing. I definitely think now I've decided I'm going to frog this. I showed this in my most recent podcast, and yeah, it needs to be frogged and reknit. I have trouble trusting patterns sometimes. I always think things are going to come out too small. But if I get gauge, it should fit. So that was a common theme this year of me either A, getting gauge and the garment not fitting, or B, getting gauge, thinking that it's not going to fit, making it bigger and then it being too big. Or just not following patterns at all, honestly. So yeah, I wanted to have this one for our holiday and have a cute little bouclette beanie, fuzzy beanie. It's just not it. So I think I'm gonna frog it and reknit it. This was using a 4 or a 5 millimeter needle, something like that. And I really like the pattern. I love the look of the beanie. It just needs to be smaller. I love the way this is constructed. It's 100% stockinette. So you cast on and knit in the round in stockinette until you reach this point here. And then you turn your work and then you start working stockinette, but on what was your wrong side, to knit the crown so that you can double fold the brim and still have a stockinette, 100% stockinette hat. So there we go. I think you can see that. So yeah, love the construction of that and really want to knit it up so that it actually fits and looks good. Okay, I've got 2 last accessories to show you. The first one is the Harris hood. This is a pattern by Coco Amour, and this is knit in the Keepsake Fibre Co 100% wool yarn. Now I knit this up at the start of the year, I think, and really love it. Let me put it on, I'll just show you what it looks like. Try not to get any makeup on it. So first and foremost, I love that you can drop it down and have it on your neck when you're not wearing it up. But here it is. Sorry, my hair's all out now. Here it is. Super cute. I absolutely love the way this looks. This is a paid pattern, so I won't talk about the construction too much, but I absolutely love the way this is constructed. And you do a double folded ribbed brim around the face, which I absolutely adore. I think that it just gives that like chunky feeling to it and makes it look really classy and elevated and elegant. Love it. I'm taking this away with us on holiday for sure. I think it's gorgeous. It was a very quick knit. I think I knit this up in like a week or something, and I'm really keen to make another one. The only thing that I would change in another one would be to lengthen the ribbing on the bottom. As you can see here, it's only like a couple of rows and then you work your Italian bind off. And I just think that it could use a longer ribbing that's maybe the same length as the brim there. I think that would look gorgeous, and just add a little bit more like chunk to the neckline. But yeah, absolutely adore this pattern. Super excited to take this away and get some wear out of it. Okay, my last accessory I finished this morning. If you watched week 2 of Vlogmas, you would have seen me cast this on and off during that week, and it is the Waiting for Snow headband by Drops Design. Here we are. It is a cable, all over cable headband that you knit flat and then you seam up the back, which you can see there. Now, I mentioned in Vlogmas that I forgot that Drops Design does the garter edge rows and I did them anyway, regardless of knowing that I didn't like the way that they looked. And so I think it would have looked so much neater if I just did 2 regular knit rows and then did mattress stitch to seam it up. But instead I had those garter rows to work with, and so the seam is just a little bit not ideal. But again, this is another twist headband. This is a free pattern, so I'll talk about the construction. You cast on, obviously, at the edge here. You knit all the cables. Then you split the stitches in half, I don't know if you can see, onto 2 separate needles. And you knit the 2 sections separately for, I think, 4 centimeters or something. Then you cable them onto the same needle. So you literally just cross them over, and then you knit, and then seam it up at the back. And I love the way that that was done with that other, with this twist headband, because you seam the twist at the top here. I feel like you just always run the risk of having little flaps hanging out, or like it not seaming up the right way, or this part being really chunky and just like hard. Whereas with this, it just eliminates a lot of that like chunk, and you've just got this beautiful crossover. I will try this on for you. Here we are. It is gorgeous. I absolutely love this. Again, so excited to take this away on our holiday. What I like about headbands is that I can wear my hair up in like a ponytail or a bun, like if we're going for a walk or something like that, or you know, it's hair wash day or something. Yeah, absolutely love it. I think I'm gonna wear this to death while we're away, and also during winter as well. We are going to a Kansas City Chiefs versus Denver Broncos football game. And although I support the Broncos, I also support the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think I'll wear this headband to show my support for the Chiefs, and then wear a Broncos jersey to support Denver. I'll just be supporting everybody. I'm there to support everyone. But I adore this. This is absolutely gorgeous. The yarn. This is Tarndie yarn, which is an Australian made yarn company. The farm is owned by a family, and it has been in their family for generations, and they breed Polworth sheep, which make this gorgeous, gorgeous yarn. And this is their DK 100% Polworth yarn in this beautiful red color. It is hand dyed. I will put the color number down below. But we went and stayed on the Tarndie farm, and I did vlog that trip. It was for my birthday, so I'll link that below, as well as the Tarndie store. But we met the owner, Tom, and he gave us a lot of information about their yarn dyeing process, the farm itself. And he mentioned that with their hand dyed colorways, they dye them all during summer. Hello. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. Is that product placement, is it?
Yeah.
Beautiful. I can't remember what I was saying. I think I was talking about the hand dyeing process at Tarndie. They dye all their yarns in summer so that they dry quicker, obviously, and then they sell them throughout the year. And so I guess what they have available on their online store or in person is all that they have. So yes, I don't know if this colorway is available, but I will put the information and everything down below. And my head is overheating now. I've been wearing that for way too long. Okay, I'm going to talk about just like random bits and bobs now. The first ones are these crochet coasters that I made. These are self-drafted. Callum came home and has made so much noise in the literal 3 minutes that he's been here.
No, I haven't.
Okay, these are self-drafted. I used a 5mm needle for these, and just some random cotton yarn that I had in stash. Basically, I made a magic circle, and then in each row I increased by a regular amount. So on the first row I increased in every stitch, in the second row it was every second stitch, third row is every third stitch, until it was the circumference that I wanted. And then in order to make this like border edging part, I did single crochets in the third loop. I will put somewhere here the podcast that I mentioned these in, because I put a really good diagram in there of what the third stitch looks like if you're unfamiliar. But it makes this really, really gorgeous like edge here that I just think is perfect for these coasters. So yeah, I made 4 of these. And yeah, they're perfect. Moving on. I made these pot holders this year. These are the Bev's Turn On Itself pot holders, and they are also crochet. There's a little food on there. Basically you cast on here and you knit, I guess, or you crochet, sorry, in the round until you get this rectangular shape, and you seam it up. And then you add on obviously these little loops as well. This is a free pattern, and I was inspired by Ali from Fibre to cast these on because she made some in Vlogmas last year. This is using a yarn from Spotlight, some kind of cotton yarn. It's like Koosh cotton or something like that. I will mention it down below. But yeah, I wasn't using it for anything in particular, so I made these pot holders, and they are perfect. We use them all the time in our house. And yeah, I really like them. They're great for holding the hot things, but also for resting on the bench to put the hot pots on top of. So yeah, really happy with those. Great gift knit as well, and great stash buster. The next thing I made in random bits and bobs is this really, really cute little badger. I'll have to cover my face so you can see him properly. But this is from one of the Knitting Magic books by Tannis Gray. I have the 2 Harry Potter Knitting Magic books, the Star Wars one and the Knitting Disney book that they have brought out. And this is from a sorting hat, Hogwarts sorting hat display, or like mobile, like a baby mobile. And I wanted to use up some stash yarn and make something cute, and this is what I made. He's been sitting on my bookshelf until that got moved. And yeah, I am a Hufflepuff, hence why I picked the badger first and foremost. But yeah, he's really, really cute and really tiny, so very random. Then I also made some hot water bottle covers this year. I made them as gift knits for my boyfriend's family. I used the pumpkin spice hot water bottle cover pattern by Laura Penrose of Penrose Knits. Now I have sent those off. I think I have some pictures or clips of all 4 of them together, but 3 of them I've sent off to his mum, his sister and his grandma, who live in Perth, but we're going to visit his dad when we're in the States. So this is the one for his dad. This is using Bendigo Woolen Mill's Classic 8 ply. This is also the Ember mix. This is the same color I used for my December bow. I have so much of this yarn left over, so I used that yarn in different colorways for all of the hot water bottle covers. This pattern is fantastic. I absolutely love it. I will link these hot water bottles down below as well. I got these in a 4-pack from Big W, and they fit the cover perfectly. I definitely think I could knit this rib section a little bit longer just so it comes to the top. But yeah, I love this pattern. The stitch counts of this pattern are reflective of some colorwork sock patterns. So if you want to include motifs from any colorwork socks, you can. For example, the one I made for his grandma, I used the November Colorwork Cuff Club chart on that hot water bottle, and it covered that amount there, which I thought was just gorgeous. So keep that in mind if you want to buy this pattern. You can transfer the colorwork charts of a lot of things onto this hot water bottle. I might talk about baby knits, and then I'll talk about the things that I don't physically have on me. So first baby knit of this year that I have with me is this baby bear bonnet. This is a pattern by Knitting for Olive, and I knit this up using a stash acrylic that I had in my stash. I knit this pattern up twice this year and really loved it. This was the first time I knit it up. Definitely not a beginner pattern. You've got to be familiar with short rows, and also just the way that Knitting for Olive, I think, writes their patterns is something that I'm not particularly familiar with or fond of. But once you've done it once, you kind of get it down pat. I asked you guys what size this would be because I did not get gauge with this yarn, but it was already at too tight of a gauge to go down more needle sizes. And someone said this is probably like a 2-year-old size. So I decided to keep this for myself. I was intending to gift knit it to some friends who were expecting a baby, but I just thought I should knit up a smaller one for them, which I ended up doing. And I'm just going to keep this for any future kitties that come along. It's just got I-cord ties at the bottom there. I knit these a little bit too short so they don't actually tie into a bow, so I've just been tying them in a knot at the bottom there. And yeah, it's gorgeous. I want to knit up some more of these just to have in my stash, either for gifting or for the future, just because I think it's super, super cute. I love the little ears, it's so cute. So yeah, that was my first baby knit. I also intended to gift this project as well with the baby bear bonnet, but I ended up gifting something else. And it is this little crochet granny square baby blanket with a bunch of mixed stash yarns. And I ended up not gifting this mainly because it's not that soft. It's quite hard, it's quite thick, it's kind of crunchy in some spots just because of the yarns that I used. A lot of them are acrylic yarns. This one, for example, is held double with 2 acrylics. And whilst the mulled texture looks really nice, it is really like hard. So it wasn't something that I was particularly proud to gift. But I'm thinking of adding to this over time and making this like a memory blanket of all the yarns that I've used over time to eventually either gift to a future kid or keep for our kids. Yeah, I really, really like this, but yeah, not good enough to gift just yet. Self-drafted, by the way. It was just a bunch of granny squares in the different colors, and then I used the join as you go method, which I'll link the video tutorial that I use down below because it's really easy to follow and so much easier than just weaving in a bunch of ends. Okay, I only have sweaters left to talk about, but I first want to talk about things that I don't have here with me, in particular like gift knits and other bits and bobs that maybe are around the house on other things. So we'll start with a self-drafted plant pot cozy. I used the same yarn, the cotton yarn that I used for these pot holders, I used for the cozy, and I used the same, I guess, pattern or construction as these coasters to make that cozy. So I made the base the same as this, so increasing in regular increments throughout until I got to the base size that I needed for my plant pot. And then I did single crochets through the 3rd loop to make that edging. And then imagine this is the base of the plant. I then crocheted in the round up to the height of the plant pot. And yeah, it's kept my plant nice and warm. It's kept the soil and the water off my floor. Very, very practical. I'm thinking of making some more in the future, but we'll see. It's just random things that I just decided to cast on. I made a hammock, a crocheted hammock. I will link the tutorial down below. It's made by a YouTuber who does a lot of crochet tutorials. Really, really good tutorials. Highly, highly recommend their stuff. So I will link their videos down below. But I used this yarn as well. There was quite a few scraps of this left over. So I used that to make the hammock, and I've been storing some yarn in it. I self-drafted a crochet beach bag this year that I used for some holidays. I'll put some pictures in here, but it was just using some stash cotton yarn. I made 3 large granny squares using a 5mm needle and then seamed them up to make like this, I guess, diamond sort of shape with the bag. It's got some holes in it, just some spots where the yarn like wasn't that structurally sound, so it just snapped. So I do need to seam those up and fix those, but I love this bag. I made a, I think it was a 6-stitch or a 4-stitch I-cord for the straps and just seamed that onto the bag to make handles. I made another baby bear bonnet, and that was using Cleckheaton 100% nylon in a beautiful baby pink colorway, and I ended up gifting that to our friends who had a baby this year. That was using a 4mm needle, and I gifted that with some matching overalls, which were the grey overalls pattern. And that pattern is by Burton Knit Store. Again, that was knit up with a 4mm needle as well. This pattern, the overalls are knit flat, and then you seam up the sides and the crotch, and then you sew on buttons for the front straps of the overalls, and I just think they're super cute. I want to make some more, again, just to have in my baby knit stash for the future, because I think they're really, really sweet. There's some beautiful detailing on the front, and the edges are all done in garter stitch as well as the straps. I think I would want to try doing them in double knit or even having ribbed edging, but I really, really like those, and they really liked the gift. I knit up 2 Crofting in Scotland beanies by Bunny Muff this year. Both of them were gifts, one for my dad and one for my brother. My dad wanted a colourwork Fair inspired beanie, and as soon as my brother saw my dad's one, he asked for a matching one. So I knit both of those up in Scandi Soft by Annette Erikson using a 3.5mm needle. And my dad actually picked out the pattern and the yarn. He went to Spotlight and he got the yarn that he wanted in the colours he wanted. He asked for a folded ribbed brim. So I added that to the pattern as well, and he absolutely adores it. And I love this pattern. It is a 6-colour colourwork pattern, and I just used 3 because I had the fear that the colourwork would look a little bit messy or would get lost if we used too many colours. And some of the contrasts between the colours that my dad chose weren't great, but I think this pattern would look fantastic in 2-colour colourwork as well. So I'm planning on hopefully knitting up one of those in 2 colours in the future. Now the one for my brother I knit up in the exact same yarn, but using a burnt orange colour instead of the dark blue. But yes, those are my Crofting in Scotland beanies. I then knit up 2 quick ombre hats as gift knits this year. This is a pattern by Emily Dormier, and the first one I knit up for my nan when I was in Perth visiting my family. I've vlogged that trip, so I'll include that down below so you can see a little bit more of that beanie. I don't have any pictures of it, I only have the clips from that vlog, and I didn't even film the finished object because it knit up so quickly. I knit it up using yarn that she gifted me. It was Patterns, I don't know what the Patterns yarn was, and then also some 4 Seasons Superwash Merino, and she really, really liked it. I didn't put a pom-pom on that one. The way it fit on her head, it just looked better without a pom-pom. But the second one I knit up for my granddad, and I'm gifting that to him for Christmas. Now that was also using 4 Seasons Superwash Merino for the white section, and Cleckheaton Country Naturals 8-ply for the blue at the bottom. I did put a pom-pom on this one, and it looks fantastic. I used a 5mm needle and knit up the adult man size, and I think he's gonna like it. It's a really, really nice beanie and a fantastic pattern. If you're new to colourwork or you just want to try out something different, definitely check out the quick ombre hat. I think it's really, really cute, and I do want to knit one up for myself. Okay, I think that's all of the things that I don't physically have with me. I've saved the best till last, which are my knit sweaters. Okay, my camera both ran out of battery and out of storage, so I'm sorry if the frame is weird. But I have saved the best till last. I'm going to talk about all the sweaters I knit up in 2024. Here's the pile. Here is what we're working with, and I'm not going to go in any order. I'm literally going to go from top to bottom. The first one I have to show you is my 1031 sweater, which is a pattern by Ozetta. I knit this up using Lincraft Shadow Marl in the colorway Stormy, which is a, I guess, variegated or striped yarn, and it's technically like a light grey and a black yarn, and it's a weird mix of like acrylic, polyester, wool, sort of blend, nylon I think, or something like that. Anyway, here it is. So the 1031 sweater is a drop shoulder pattern with this beautiful shoulder stitch detail. It features a folded neckline with quite long ribbing on the cuffs. It's a kind of chunky knit, I think. I knit this using a 6mm, let me check that, 6mm needle with 5.5mm for all the ribbing. And it also features a split hem with quite a long ribbing at the bottom as well. So I started knitting up this sweater with the intention of it being like a cozy at home sweater. And I wasn't too bothered with the striping at the start. I had already tried to knit up the book club cardigan using this yarn and didn't like the way the stripes looked. But the way the stripes looked on the back yoke, I was like, okay, it's all right. We can just leave it how it is. Then I obviously picked up for the shoulders, and my gauge changed and things like that. And so I tried alternating skeins here, and it just was making even thinner stripes, and I was not a fan. So I decided at that point that I was going to over dye it once the sweater was done and make it my perfect cozy black sweater. I tried over dyeing it with Rit Rit all-purpose dye first, and it didn't really work. And then someone suggested I use Rit Dye More to try and dye the synthetic fibres, and that didn't work either, really. It is a lot darker than what it was initially, and I am happy with it, and I am going to definitely be wearing it when the weather cools down. But yeah, it is just not the black sweater that I envisioned, which is fine. I really enjoyed the process of knitting this up. I really do love this sweater. I'm really proud of it. It was my last sweater for 2024. And I'm really keen to knit up this pattern again, maybe in like a burgundy red sort of color, or like a chocolate brown would be really cute. But yeah, that's my 1031 sweater. I didn't really have any problems knitting this up. I love a drop shoulder design. I find them really easy to knit and they look really good. So no problems with that one. The next one I have to show you is my porcelain sweater, which is a pattern by Annette. I knit this up using Plotulopi by Istex in heathered marsh and heathered oatmeal colorways. As I said before, Plotulopi is 100% Icelandic unspun wool, so very rustic. But here she is, my pride and joy. I think this is my favorite knit that I made this year, but I absolutely adore this pattern. I love the colorwork. I think this sweater is really what got me into colorwork this year. This is another drop shoulder design. I did 1x1 ribbing on all of the edges. I folded over the neckline and knit that down. And because of the fragile nature of the Plotulopi, I did a regular knit bind off on all of my edges. I did try to do a Italian bind off, but it just was not happening. The yarn was way too fragile. It was just snapping when trying to thread it through with the darning needle. But I absolutely adore this sweater. I wore it to the sheep show. I wore it all through winter. I'm really excited to wear it when we're away on holiday as well. Absolutely love it. Again, my favorite thing that I've knit. I think this is probably my #1 knit that I have ever made so far. I don't know what I can make to top this, but I'm really keen to knit up some more colorwork sweaters in 2025, and I do want to work with the Plotulopi again. I think it just looks fantastic in colorwork. Really, really happy with this sweater. Then along the same line as using Plotulopi, I wanted to finish up using the heathered marsh colorway. I finished up the heathered oatmeal for my Sophie shawl, and all that was left was the heathered marsh. And so I knit up a step-by-step sweater handmade by Florence. This is a free pattern. It's accompanied by a YouTube video. I love Florence. I love her videos and her podcasts. So I want to knit up as many patterns of hers as I can. I love the way that they're written. So clear, so simple. And I have knit this pattern up, I think 4 times now. Sounds about right. And yeah, absolutely love it. It is a raglan sweater. Again, 1x1 rib everywhere. Folded neckline, which I adore. And yeah, it just has the perfect oversized fit for me. And the length that I've knit it to, I think is just the perfect length. It hits right at my hips, which I really, really enjoy. And I love this colorway specifically. It's got flecks of green and cream in it as well. So it just has a lot of dimension, and I think it's a really beautiful and versatile sweater in my wardrobe. Really happy with that one. Next is another colorwork sweater. This is my first ever test knit, and it is the Maxine sweater by Penrose Knits. As soon as I saw that she was making a sweater version of the Maxine, it was originally a hot water bottle, I knew that I needed it, and I thought, why don't I apply for the test? Get a new experience out of it, try something new, and it turned out to be a really, really enjoyable experience. Here is the Maxine. It is a circular colorwork yoke with a 2x2 turtleneck collar, stockinette for the body, and 2x2 rib on the body and sleeve ribbing sections. So I knit this up using Bendigo Woolen Mills Classic 8-ply. I'll list all the colors I use down below. I don't remember all the names, but it came out beautifully. I love the browns and the greens, and I feel like the red just adds the perfect pop to this sweater, and makes it look festive, and it is stunning. The yarn bloomed beautifully, and is super soft, super warm, and very cozy. Again, super keen to do some more color work in the new year. The test knit was a really easy, smooth process. Laura is fantastic. Her designs are beautiful, her patterns are so well written, and the test was really easy, and everyone was really nice, and it was really well run. So very happy with this sweater and the experience that I gained out of it as well. Okay, another step-by-step sweater, this time using 4 Seasons half and half, which is a 50% wool, 50% acrylic sweater. Again, not much to say about this. I was intending this to be like kind of my go-to white sweater, but I just don't think I made it oversized enough. I picked a size that was too small. The sleeves are a little bit short and the body is too short as well. But overall, very soft. Would highly recommend this specific yarn. It's just from Spotlight, so really affordable as well. I didn't change much about this sweater. I did make the ribbing a little bit longer on the body, but again, same as the other one. It's very simple, very straightforward, perfect for beginners as well. If you're looking for like a really easy sweater pattern, if you've never knit sweaters before, or you want to try and get into knitting, highly recommend Florence's step-by-step sweater pattern. Okay, the next one is my Cumulus Blouse V-neck, which is a pattern by Petite Knit, and I knit this up using Sirdar Cashmere Merino Silk in the colorway Meadow Green, and I knit the size large using a 5mm needle, and here she is. Absolutely gorgeous. It's been folded up in my wardrobe, hence the creases, but I absolutely adore this sweater. I love this pattern and I love the finished object. This yarn is so soft. This is probably the most money I've ever spent on a yarn for a project so far. And that really is reflected in the finished object. It is so luxury, it's so soft, and so comfortable to wear. I will say that it does pill. I've worn this maybe 4 times now for like a full day each time. And there is some pilling on the sleeves and on the body, just where the arms touch the body. Don't know if you can see that, but it just needs a little de-pill. It's because it's soft. It's because it's a beautiful, soft luxury yarn. That's why it wouldn't pill so much if it wasn't so soft. So absolutely adore this sweater. I wore it to the Tulip Festival with my mum on her birthday, and just great memories associated with this sweater. Originally, I went down half a needle size to knit up the I-cord for the neckline, but I found it was way too short. It was like hitting here, and I wanted it to be a deep V. So I went back up to the 5mm needle for all of the I-cord, and was happy that I did that. And then I blocked it, and this sweater grew so much. This yarn blooms and grows so much. It's insane. So keep that in mind if you're going to knit with this yarn. I think right now the V-neck is at a good length. It's not revealing or anything like that, but in the future, if it does get too revealing, I'll probably frog it and re-knit with a 4.5mm just to cinch it back up a little bit. Okay, 2 more sweaters. This one I knit up in a knit along with Morgan from Morgan Unraveled. We hosted a Salty Days sweater knit along this year. First time I've ever hosted a knit along, and it was so much fun to knit with everybody else and see everyone knitting up the same pattern. Also to get support from a lot of other people, because I did have some problems with this pattern, and it was great to know that I wasn't alone. So yes, I knit up the Salty Days sweater by Kutova Kika. Here it is. It is a all over texture and cable sweater with twisted rib details on the cuffs and the ribbing. I did a folded neckline for this one, which is recommended in the pattern. But I used a cotton yarn for this one. I used Eco Cotton by Annette Erikson, which again is a really affordable, accessible spotlight yarn in the colorway, I think it was white, something like that. I don't know, it's this bright white color, absolutely stunning. I knit this up to be like a spring, summer cover-up kind of sweater. I haven't worn it yet this summer season, but hopefully when we get back from the States, we can get some use out of this. Now, problems with the pattern. First of all, for me, was the fit. I did get gauge, and I have remeasured my gauge, and I do have gauge in my project, but the sweater came out a lot smaller than intended. I think that is simply because of the yarn composition I used. Cotton does not behave the same way as wool, and that's the yarn composition that was featured in the pattern. And so I think it's just simply because of that, even though I do have gauge. Additionally, some of the pattern sections were just written a bit poorly, and although they've been corrected in a post on Ravelry, they haven't actually been corrected in a pattern update at all, which I think, you know, as a very, very popular knitwear designer, I think it's something that should be addressed in a pattern update. Not just on a Ravelry post. Not everyone uses Ravelry, not everyone finds Ravelry accessible. And yeah, I just think that in a section that is so integral to knitting up the body of the sweater, the problem was like here, I think, in order to get like stitch counts and get the appearance and the pattern that you need. I think that an update to the pattern is very important and very needed, but what can you do? I think also just translation wise, some spots weren't so great, and some of the stitch counts were wrong in some of the sizes as well. But overall, you know, I got a sweater out of it, so the pattern clearly works. It just takes some time and some digging in order to get the correct details for the pattern. I did vlog the entire process of knitting up this sweater, so if you want to see all my thoughts, all the details, the whole experience, I'll link that down below so you can check that out. But yeah, I haven't got any wear out of it yet, hopefully soon. Okay, the last sweater I knit up was a gift for my boyfriend. I knit up the Northland sweater by Petite Knit. I'm just loving the Petite Knit this year. I really do enjoy Petite Knit patterns. I'm keen to knit up some more in the new year as well. But I knit this up using Scandi wool by Annette Erikson in the dark grey colorway. That's 50% wool, 50% acrylic. And I knit this up for his birthday, which was in July. And everything was perfect. It's beautiful. I love it. Except the body is way too short. I knit it at a length that's great for me, but the body definitely needs to be longer. But it is a, oh my god, saddle shoulder, set in sleeve. I'm not sure what kind of construction this is. Someone told me. But basically you knit up this little panel here, and then you do raglan increases to shape the sleeve, which I really love the fit of and the look of. I think it just gives a beautiful like shoulder structure to the sweater. Again, 1x1 rib everywhere, my absolute favorite, Italian bind off. And yeah, I just need to pick up stitches in the body, knit the body a couple inches longer, and then knit the ribbing, and definitely knit the ribbing longer than this. I was kind of in a rush to get it in the parcel and sent to him. He was living in Canberra at the time because he is in the army, so I was kind of in a rush to get it done and sent to him in time for his birthday. So I think that was a contributing factor to why the body is way too short. Okay, that is everything that I knit up in 2024 and crocheted in 2024. I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed recapping everything. There's some things in here that I completely forgot that I made. So it's nice to go back and reflect and be like, oh, I did actually make that this year, and find old projects that you didn't realize you had. I'm really excited for what 2025 has in store knitting wise. I have plenty of plans for 2025, and I have filmed a knitting plans video for you that will be out next week. as you're watching this. So keep an eye out for that video. Definitely subscribe if you haven't already so you can catch those videos as they come out. Life this year is going to be quite busy. I'm starting medical school this year, which is really exciting, but it's definitely going to be super busy. So we may need to go back to monthly podcast uploads rather than the weekly videos, but we're just going to see how we go. We're going to see what happens. I'm excited to cast on a bunch of new projects. I have finished up all my gift knits now, and it's time for me to do some knitting for me, which is really exciting. Again, let me know in the comments down below what your favorite knit project was that you worked on this year, and I will also put together a Ravelry bundle of everything that I knit this year. So I'll link that down below in case you want to see all the patterns listed there. But I hope you're safe and well wherever you are, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.